Good evening. Excuse me. The Who's today, the Galloping Who's, were on at Randwick. It's the long weekend, the Queen's birthday long weekend. The track was slow. We had a bit of rain late in the day before the second last race, um, and which made it slightly worse. The rail was 7 metres out from the 1600 of the post and was 4 metres the remainder. Um, and I suppose if you got trapped wide in the run, it was no good. You could save ground on the fence and slide through and get cover and come down the outside. So I think the track played fairly fair. Um, the first race, over 2,400 metres, they said there was 104 on the screen, which there would have been, of course. But in the marketplace, 98%. These were the flux very quickly. Uh, the favourite instrumentalist went from evens out to $2.50, $2 out to 2.50 back into 2.30. Rockefeller Centre didn't have a price, went from 3.50 out to 5.50. Black Jag from 3.50 out to 4.40 back into $4. The winner, look, I might have seen $8, but it was only there briefly. But plenty of 7.50 started 6.50, and $26 was given about halfway to London, started $21. Um, it missed the kick badly by 4 lengths. Rockefeller Centre, it's not like one of Gay's, but it did, and it got into fourth position in the field of five. Um, Not long after that, it was very disappointing. It dropped out. It ran last, didn't run the 2,400 metres out. The winner, which is very one-paced, it just sat in behind the leader. It led the favourite, and the winner got inside it, ridden by clever Karen McAvoy, who, as we all keep on saying, Keren's a very good rider. He seems to excel in distance races, and he got inside the favourite on the turn and outstayed it, won by 2.3 lengths. The others had their chance. Black Jag was back in the field. It actually ran second, beating the favourite Nick close to the line. The others were well back. The winner outplugged them. Race two. Well, on the screen there was losing figures: 99.5. Excuse me. 96.5 only in the marketplace. Where was the difference here? Well, number one for a start, well, it didn't have a price. Eagle Island, well, although it was backed at one stage, but it got back out and started $5. Flying Sebring, uh, I gave $4. It started $3.70 on my board. I think the SP would be a lot less than that, and I paid the penalty. The next runner, Ideal Guide, it was very hard to lay. It went from $3.50 out to $5.50. It was well backed. The second horse, who should have won, uh, Ideal Guide, no, sorry, Double Eagle. It was $12 into $8.50, hard to get, or even $8. And Olympic Flag, it was well backed as well, from $7 into $5. Um, and Flying Sebring, owned by Gay, trained by Gay. I own the lead. It went straight to the lead when they turned for home. Most of the runners are all off the bit, and except the second horse. And when they topped the rise, it was able to get clear. It was a matter of how far it was going to win by this favourite. At the furlong pole, it was going to win by the 3 length margin. That's falling by a nose. Second horse, there was a runner in this race that hung very badly, um, Haindi, and when it was up sitting outside the leader, uh, and when they were turning for home, it was dropping out through the field. And of course, unfortunately for the bookies, well, or even though it was well backed, but it would have been better than the winner, well, for me anyway. Double Eagle, ridden by Jason Collette, he lost all of his momentum with this run, that runner falling back in his face, and when they topped the rise, he finally got a split and went out after the favourite. Um, that fail to catch it. Another stride he wins. That's the difference being up near the lead a lot of times. How Gay tends to win a lot of races, although it wasn't the case in the next race, but more often up near the front, out of trouble, and it helps a lot. Race 3, well, as I say, this wasn't the case in race 3 with Gay's horse. Bull Point, having its first start, it was very impressive. And after the scratching of Buttons, who was pricked by when it shifted a shoe, and it was scratched at the barrier. This the winner was $6.50 before the late scratching. The late scratching was a $7 chance, and excuse me, and it still started $6. The winner after the $7 chance came out, and it missed the kick and copped a bit of a check after the start, and was in third last position. And Nash, Nippy Nash, he railed turning for home, eased off the fence, and just more or less shouldered his way clear and went away, and it won by 2 lengths, beating the favourite, who was sensationally backed, Sweet Kiss. It came across from the outside, one of the outside alleys, and led on the fence. They did run along with Albert Status on its outside. It held on very well, the favourite, but the winner was by far the best run in the race. It made up a lot of ground after missing the kick. Excuse me, and it was. There are more wins in store for Bull Point. In that race, they said there was 102.1 on the screen. In the marketplace, we bet under the 100, about 99, a tick under, and so you would have been able to, as I say, get a little bit better about certain runners in that race. The winner is a horse to follow. Race 4, they said there was 101 on the screen, and that was about close to it in the marketplace. The top weight here, Lucy May Lynn, it bled for the second time, so we won't see Lucy May Lynn, unfortunately, again. The runner that started favourite was the horse from down in the Riverina area, April Rose, who's had the 5 goes to 5 wins. It stuck on well today. It finished up running third. It was, as I say, sensationally back. We put it up a $5 chance. We put them up, put it up favourite Agon, who didn't have a price. It went from $4.40 out to start $6.50, and putting April Rose up $5 second favourite. It got to $5.50. It did start $3, or started $3.50 on my board. I think I might have laid, after laying it well, I might have laid 5,000 to 2,000 just as they jumped. So they were taking the 5 to 2 about it, and as I say, it led. I thought they were going to try and ride it with a bit of cover, but she showed too much speed. It led with Empress Millie on its outside, track 3 wide outside those 2 runners was Agon, so that didn't help its chances. And this result, well, this was as big a result since the tortoise beat the hare. By the by, I was $151 when the starter said go, and it was a skinner for the books, and it came right along the 18 pence, and finished up winning by 0.8 of a length from Glimmer, who looked like it was going to win close to the line for a couple of strides. And as I say, the favourite, April Rose, held on for third. The bookies cheered, and the Grumble and Grunters in the very next race, everyone was dumbfounded. And the next race, race 5, punter stood there for at least 3/4 of the betting, the opening of the betting, and no one was writing a bet. How can 150 to 1 chance win in Sydney? Well, it did. Um, it does like the conditions, by the by. It's bred to go through the soft going. That's about all we'd say there. What else was there? Were quite a few runners in that race which were layable by the same token. And as I say, a huge result for the captains. Race 5, they said there was a 100.6 on the screen, but only a couple less in the marketplace, about 98%. And this winner, you wouldn't see it on the flux. So, well, actually, it's a couple less if you were a keen shopper, because the best fluck about Need the Dough was $10, and I think I saw $12 early in the piece. And after they'd gone a couple of furlongs, it was taken to the lead. Need the Dough by Nathan Nippy, well, no, it's Nippy Nash, by Neat Nathan Berry. His brother, of course, is over in Hong Kong riding very well. And as I've told you before, their mother said there's not a struck match between Tommy Terrific and Neat Nathan. Not a struck match, the mother said, between them. And as I say, it was taken straight to the lead, Need the Dough. And after the $12 and the $11 were taken, the $10 was also taken about this runner, and it started $9, even being nibbled at a bit. And after being taken to the lead, it fought on extremely well. It won by 2 lengths from another runner who was near the fence, Empress Elect, which would have been a great result from the bookies. It was 15 out to $26. It slid through on the fence into second hole, and running third, also coming through on the fence from last position, was the New Zealander Airtime, who was $13 at one stage into about $10 or $11. There were quite a few runners backed in the race, and but the opening favourite, this is where it was no good whatsoever. The opening favourite, Run Harder Sun, didn't run very hard today at all, and you didn't. You had to run if the captains had to run fast if they wanted to catch a Grumble and Grunter who wanted to back it, because we put it up the $3.50 favourite, and it only went from 5 to 2 to 6s, $3.50 out to $7. It sat in 5th position, one off the fence, had every possible chance, and ran about 3rd or 4th last, beaten 8 odd lengths, having every chance. The rider saying that it was even very disappointing. But the vet said it had a mild case of the thumps, which is, of course, is a bit of a heart murmur. And there was another runner that was extremely well backed in this race, and that was Hasten, number 7, who ran in Melbourne last start. It was $10, $11 given about it. Started only $5.50, so it was 10s to 9 to 2, and it sat back in the field on about 6th position, and it seemed to have its chance as well. But the winner was backed. The opening favourite didn't have a price. Race 6, well, the difference here in the fluctuations, you just know in Sydney, they said the best fluck was 108.4. You can't get 108.4 in Sydney, even if no punters turn up. The bookies will give you 100. And the difference here, of course, is, well, there's 7% difference straight away as I look at my sheet, and that is with number 1, Signoret. Well, of course, the best luck was $4.60. The SP was $4.20. There's a bit of difference here. And when they jumped, you could get $6 on the rails. I was also $6. So $4.20, $6, $4.60 best luck. We've got 7% difference straight away, plus a couple of others. It did lead and it gave up fairly quickly. It was having its first start today for Joe Pride. Who won this race? Lycra Lass, number 2, ridden by Jay Kissick, 3 kilo boy. He rides fairly well. It sat in 7th position in a fairly cosy spot with Signoret and also Our Brighter Star running along up in front. And Our Brighter Star also was extremely well backed. It was $12 into $6.50. Our Brighter Star sat outside the lead. When they turned for home, and going back to Signoret, even though it did start $6, at one stage of the betting, it was $4.40 out to $5.50, back into $4.60 at one stage. You could have filled your bag at the $5. I wound it off trying to be fancy, and I missed laying it. And as I say, I was $6 when they jumped, and you could not give it away. And the runner that sat outside it, as I said, Our Brighter Star, $12 into $6.50. But the winner got a cosy run in 7th position on a fairly good pace, good solid pace, and eased to the outside. It did make up a lot of ground when it won down at Wagga or Albury. I think it was Wagga last start, and it hit the line very strongly. It finished up winning by 1.8 lengths after easing off heels and coming down the outside. There was a runner in this race that should have finished closer. Would it have won? I don't think it would have, but it would have ran a clear second, and that was May Nelly, the runner that puts in different runs certain times. The day when it was big odds and went along the 18 pence at Warwick Farm, it won like a nice horse, but since then it hasn't produced. But today it was held up fairly badly, looking for a run after they turned for home. And as I say, should have finished closer. Race 7, they said there was 104 on the screen. There was 3 less in the marketplace, about 101. And this was won by this little tiny pit pony. It's as big as a pit pony, this grey horse, White Sage, but it must have a very, very nice motor inside, because like it did at its first start at Kembla Grange, where it won by 7 lengths in very good time and sectionals. Today it jumped out. It sat outside Hard to Find, who unfortunately bled, and Nippy Nash was on board. When they topped the rise, this little runner was only idling. It was only idling on the outside of Hard to Find, and Nash changed gears, and it ran away and won by 5 lengths. Now, they said the best luck was evens. You could have were able to get $2.10 on course. It started only $1.80, the 5 to 4 on, so it was 10 to 9 to 5 to 4 on. After opening up a 5 to 4 on chance, got out to 2.10, back into that, starting that price, or you might have even been able to get, it's only a little bit of difference, but it all counts, $1.85 on the fence when they jumped right towards the finish. They laid you 10 to 9 on, $1.90 on for whatever you want. Someone had 10,000, 9,000 on with me right towards the finish of betting, and I paid the penalty. It's only, as I say, a pit pony, but has got the big motor aboard. It travels very sweetly. It obviously will win other races. There were a few runners backed in the race besides the favourite, but the winner by far the best backed. Then we came to the last, and they said there was 107.5 on the screen. There were about only 3 less in the marketplace, so we had positive figures. And even though a 25 to 1 chance won the last in the a runner resuming from a spell called Plutorius, trained by Cunning Kevin Moses and ridden by the 3 kilo boy Jay Kissick. Taylor Lovelock Wiggins was apparently ill and the replacement rider went on board. It sat about midfield, eased off heels and was able to put its noggin out in front right on the line where it counts and win by 0.2 of a length. Um, and as I say, it only started, they returned at 26. I was 31 when they jumped, plus other boards on the fence. But it was one of the first runners backed by the pros. The pros found it. The $51, it opened up 41, got to 51 very quickly, and the pros stepped into it, and it was 51 into 31. And as I say, one of the very first runners back. Also well backed in this race was number 2, Monsieur. After it got trapped wide in the run, after opening up $7, it got out to as much as $10, but it only started at $7.50. And there were a few other runners backed in the race as well. Waikiki Gold, it was $8 into $6.50. Its stablemate, Wiley Bay, who was announced to be ridden more forward today, but unfortunately it missed a kick and then copped a check at the start, and it was also badly held up in the straight. Should have finished a lot closer. It as much as, well, I bet 10,000 or 1,000 winning place at one stage. It only started about a 9 to 1 chance, and its stablemate was also very well backed, Waikiki Gold. Who also missed a kick and copped a bit of a check at the start. It was $8 into $6.50, as I say. There were a few runners that didn't have a price. At one stage, the favourite, Nat King Coup, you could lay it for whatever you wanted, which I got a bit of section out of it. If we put it up a $3.50 chance, it got out to $3.80, but then it was sensationally backed into $3.40, hard to get at one stage of the betting. And as I say, I got a bit of section out of it at $3.50, but they returned at $3.60. I was $4 when they jumped and laying it, and it was also $3.90 on the 18 pence on the rails. Return 360 only. So that's the advantage you've got of being at the races. This best luck, we beat the best luck. A blind man could beat the best luck at the races. As I say, the winner, it was found by the pros, and it was able to beat Gay's horse, Dana's Best, who was a little bit of use was made of it to get outside the lead. Leading on the fence was Proconsul, who was always firm in the betting, around about the $10 or $11 mark. Dana's Best sat on us outside, and what could have brought it undone was the third horse who protested against the second horse, and that was Fermacino, Ferocimo. It ridden by Jenny Duggan, it moved up when they were coming down, coming along the side, and sat 3 wide outside the leaders. And there was a little bit of bumping going on down the straight, and she protested, but the protest was dismissed. And it ran a good race, but I suppose if she doesn't come along, the second horse might have won, but its run was also good. And poking up along the fence in the 4th hole was Triple O from barrier 1, and it was only 0.6 of a length away. So the first 4, there was only just over half a length between the 4 of them. That was about the meeting. The favourite in that race, Nat King Coup, it had every possible chance. It sat behind the pace in between runners. That was about the meeting. Not like in years gone by. On the long weekend, of course, at Randwick, Queen's birthday weekend, where we used to get huge crowds. that it was just the usual suspects, usual grumble and grunters who came and played, and we it was a mixed bag. It all depends. It all depended how, if you're a grumble and grunter or a captain, whether you how you handle the meeting, whether you won or lost, and that goes to say for most meetings these days. That's about all I'd say. Good evening.